Assalamu alaikum fam, hope you're doing well. Welcome to my second channel, Bibliophile Hermit. Look at this cool pen my kid gave me. Whoa! When the little ones are good at school, they get these fake dollars that they're allowed to purchase things with, so she picked this out of the pen box, and it's pretty cute. Okay, so we're back in with St. Augustine. Now, we're in this part 6 of his, I guess you could call it paragraphs, right, of book 1. So let's begin. But dust and ashes though I am, let me appeal to your pity, since it is to you in your mercy that I speak, not to a man who would simply laugh at me. So here, this is very interesting because he's appealing to God's pity. Now, he did mention mercy. To you in mercy that I speak. So he's speaking in a merciful tone and is appealing to God's pity. Pity, it implies lowliness. It implies very small significance, right? Now, as a Muslim, I would say I would appeal to Allah's mercy. Allah is the Most High, so the space between me and the Creator is quite large, yet Allah is all-encompassing, closer than my jugular vein, right? But here the word pity kind of denotes a sense of lowliness, because from this Catholic perspective, the original sin, kind of makes humans in a pitiful eye, being exiled from the Garden of Eden. So the word pity is not something that I've seen used in Islam or in Judaism or in Buddhism, but with Catholics, you do tend to note this pattern here. Now, when he says that, man, other humans would laugh at him for calling himself dust and ashes, this shows vulnerability in him, right? Because he's doing confessions here. So he admits, I am dust and ashes. So he really helps you as a reader to feel like this temporal world is, you're going to be nothing, right? He's dust and ashes. He's using the word pity here, and really is trying to make you see as a reader that he doesn't have ego, even though he is one of the great scholars of Catholicism. He's showing humbleness, which is really interesting. He continues, perhaps you too may laugh at me, but you will relent and have pity on me. So here, I'm sure he knows God's not going to laugh. I don't think people ascribe humor to God. Comedians sometimes say that. But he's kind of being poetic in this moment, where God would have more mercy than a fellow human, obviously because the attributes of God, but humans can be very cruel. So you seek refuge in God, he's getting at here, because he's seeking pity from God when he knows some humans will not have pity, but God will have pity. Do you see what he did there? For all I want to tell you, Lord, is that I do not know where I came from when I was born into this life. Now, this is something that many Muslims have spoken on. Mufti Menk has mentioned this in one of his lectures a while ago. You don't know where you were before you were born. And I connected with that sometimes. And sometimes, if you really deep into that thought, you really dive in, you can have a panic attack. Self-induced panic attacks. I've had those. I was like, oh, jeez. like, whoa. That's why I think sometimes certain people are resentful atheists who are not spiritual, because they really haven't thought about how freaky it is to have come from an embryonic stage to now using the internet. Like, you don't know where you were before or where you're going after. Like, when you think about just like, whoa, you're just not on this earth anymore, it really can make you like freak out. So I like how he mentions that. He continues, which leads to death, or should I say this death which leads to life. So here he's getting at, you see the hereafter, that death is the beginning, because he says, this death which leads to life. So he here recognizes the temporal nature of this world. He called himself dust and ashes, and he is now showing that he doesn't know where he was before he was born, but he recognizes the fact that death is, the entrance into a new domain. This much is hidden from me, but although I do not remember it all myself, I know that when I came into the world, all the comforts which your mercy provides. So here, comforts come from God's mercy. Now this reminds me of the ayats in the Quran where it says, which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? Because all those favors that Allah gives us, they're a comfort and a mercy, and they're provided for us from Allah because He's the most beneficent. You can see a similar tone here when He's understandingly admitting, validating that all the comforts are a mercy from God. So gratitude naturally is implied. Where they're ready for me, so ready provisions, ready comforts. For this I was told by my parents, the father who begat me, and the mother who conceived me, the two from whose bodies you formed me in the limits of time. So here he's just getting at the miraculousness of when a man copulates with a woman and their genes are mixing, and throughout the whole maternity process, a new life emerges, right? This is beautiful because it kind of gets at the wonderful, spiritual, amazing process of reproduction, which I understand is diminished by feminists who glorify abortion and, wear coat hanger necklaces and are proud to have an abortion and sexualize it even with their weird fetishes. If you ever go on those horrific TikTok accounts, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And if you haven't seen that, Allah's giving you a mercy because it is mental cancer. But here you see this sort of Catholic perspective, I'd argue, on reproduction. So it was that I was given the comfort of woman's milk. So here, that's another cool point that I like, because being able to nurse a child is a very powerful thing as a woman, and the child is lucky. Now I know women today are hyper trained to get offended when you recommend nursing. Some make excuses, some can't, and I'd argue some are even losing the ability because generations of women not doing it themselves. You have to wonder if then the body just stops producing it. But there's a certain detachment and less intimacy in terms of like mother to mother, skin to skin, with a bottle-fed baby than a breastfed baby. Because when you're a mother and your body has physically made food that is richer than anything a stupid scientist has created, you're thankful, right? Now, what's interesting is there's breast pumps, there's all kinds of machines now that can help you get your milk out, right? Help you. And some women choose to work and have a nanny put soy formula in their bottle, and people have speculated on the psychology of like not being nursed versus nursed, not hearing your mother's heartbeat, not even some babies, they can smell their mother. It's really quite interesting. So here I like how he says that it is a comfort you give to your baby to nurse them, right? And it's easier, much easier than boiling, bottles, washing those dishes, when you can just pat some water and be very careful and your skin naturally will heal itself. It's just so much more easier and cheaper. It's literally free. You eat and your body makes milk, and your body fat will, your body will take those calories and manufacture milk. So it's pretty cheap than buying formula, right? Just women are inconvenienced by having to cover with a shawl, and they want convenience. Whereas here you see the mother is choosing to comfort her baby instead of what's convenient for herself. He talks a lot about his mother. He's definitely a mama's boy, and you can really feel that in the way he talks about his mom. Alright, fam, what do you think about that? Let me know. Really spiritual topic. I think people really benefit from reading different kinds of books and getting out of your typical routine. Seeing what it's like from another person's perspective helps you to understand their consciousness even more, helps you to create a sort of civility, and helps you also get more respect as well. And more factual information. You should never trust somebody's opinion about anyone, anything or anyone which they have not seen, read, tasted, visited, right? If someone has not actually interacted with some information and just like, oh, scoff at this, scoff at that, take their opinions and dump them in the garbage, right? Experience is when you talk. And if you don't have that, then your opinions are not valid. They're mere speculation. There's a place and time for speculation. But when it comes to wisdom, to knowledge, you actually have to read things for yourself and allow it to interact with your mind so you can formulate your own opinions and then exchange those ideas with other people and then build upon it, right? So hopefully you enjoyed, and we are dust and ashes. I agree.